Okay, hello YouTube. I'm just waiting for Facebook people to turn up. I'm new on Facebook, so I never know who's going to turn up. Okay, so looks like a couple people are on here. What time is it? 10:30. I'm just testing. I'm new on Facebook. I'm just testing times, best times for lives. So that's what I'm doing. I don't know what time. I think I did one the other night. I'm getting about 30 to 50 people turning up on a live here, which is good. I'm new on Facebook, whereas I'll get like 1,000 or 2,000 on my other platforms. So this means that I'll be able to answer all your questions on here. So it's a good time to get in on a live, because on the I can't answer all the questions on the other platforms. So yeah, so ask away, parenting questions. I'll do my best to answer. So ask away. And if you go in the link in my description, you'll see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, 3 to 12 years old, and then, or you can hire me for coaching. So everything I've got in my business is in that one link. I'm not too sure how it's done. I actually don't do my own Facebook, so I don't know how it's done. I'm trying to talk like I know what I'm talking about. I do all my videos, but I don't manage my, the only platform I manage is TikTok. And I found out today I don't even do all of that, evidently. So I've got someone helping me. I thought I was doing all my own TikTok. I'm evidently not. So yeah. Anyway, so let's get going with your parenting questions if you have any at all. Because I'm new on Facebook, I should be able to get to all the questions. If you see me, you'll know from other platforms I don't get to all the questions. But here I should, because there's, I'm new on here, so it's going to be a smaller group. So ask away parenting questions. If you don't have any, I'll just sit here. Said you're a huge fan. Thanks so much for your support. I really appreciate that. I actually just really got online a couple years ago, and not even that long ago, on TikTok is where I started really just sort of turning up a lot. And yeah, it's been amazing. So appreciate that. I've been in business for 17 years though. So how do these parenting steps work with ADHD boys? That's where I learned all this stuff. Everything I teach, basically, I learned through the kids who had ADHD. I used to call them alphabet kids, ADHD, WXYZ, whatever. Those are all the kids that taught me how to do this. That's where I learned all this. Okay, child hitting or acting out in rage towards the parents. How old? That's really important. So it's Charisse. How old? 16, 6, 2. Very different answers for each one of those. So how old, Charisse, is this child hitting or acting out in rage? Oops, 6. Oh, wow. Okay, 6-year-old acting out in rage. I don't know what's going on there. When you say rage, do you really mean rage? Or is it just because they're not getting their own way? They've just learned that if they really get angry, you might give in. Or is it rage in that it's uncontrolled and they don't even care if they get their own way? There's a difference there, a big difference there. Anyway, you might want to check out my boot camp course. At the minimum, check out the behavior board. You can start doing this on your own. It gives you an idea of the style that I use. I use giving respect to get it. I call it leadership parenting. Or you can hire me for coaching. So is it rage in that even if they get what they want, they're still enraged? That's rage. If it's just they're mad because they didn't get their own way, and when they get it, they stop raging, that's different. Which one is it? You know the difference, right? Which one is it? I would need to know that. Anyway, check out my boot camp course. That might be all you need. If it truly is rage, you might want to hire me. I'd need to figure out why they're raging. Hi, is it appropriate to take something away for 2 or 4-year-old when they're not listening, being bad? Instead of, yeah, sounds kind of mixed up and confusing to me. You can do this with a 3 and above. You put them on the behavior board. That is free. Check out my link. And you put them on the behavior board and start there. The 2-year-old is watching. So 2-year-olds are under the age of 3. They're called toddlers. That's what I call toddlers. And they're about consistent corrective actions. But the 4-year-old should be on that behavior board. And the 2-year-old's watching everything you do with the 4-year-old. That's how they're learning. So, but then also, if you want to deal with the 2-year-old, also be careful with, just a sec. Yeah, it just sounds like you're all over the place. You got to get organized with this. Yeah, I hate timeout. I can't stand timeout, by the way. I think it's mean. I think it's humiliating and mean. Imagine if you were at work and you did something wrong and your boss said, "You go stand in a corner." It's humiliating. Kids feel the same way, and you don't learn anything. You just stand there and feel like crap about yourself. So there's no lesson in timeout. I think it's awful. But it's like yelling. It can work in the short term, but it backfires down the road. It builds resentment and low self-esteem. You don't want that. How do I help my boys build a relationship? My 2.5-year-old is very physical with my 7-month-old. Yeah, sorry about that. You've just got to supervise for now. 7 months old, by 7 months, they should be backing off a little bit. So yeah, I don't have an overall course for toddlers, 2.5-year-old, but every single time he goes near the baby, I would say no, and I would take fun away from him or take him away from the fun. But are you meeting his needs? Is the 2.5-year-old getting enough attention? Because by now they should be used to that baby being in the house. So I'm just going to try and read the rest of your comment here. I have a hard time getting the see more. It just doesn't click for me. Oh, there we go. Okay. Currently working on teaching him what's appropriate or not with his hands. Yeah, consequences is what it's all about. It's all about consistent corrective actions. They're not about words. These mini therapy sessions discussing big feelings, big emotions, self-regulating, that's all garbage. That was all invented for the mother. It feeds the mother's needs. It has nothing to do with the toddler. They're about consistent corrective actions. They're right in the moment, and their language is actions, not words. And they don't care about the mini therapy sessions. I know they're trendy right now, but they're garbage. With toddlers. Is there a way to use these strategies in a daycare setting? I don't discuss daycare. A huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, child psychologists. But I couldn't do their job, and they struggle with parenting. One is personal, one's an institution. One's not personal, it's business. Very different. Although some stuff does cross over, but I don't like to say what that is because I don't know anything about daycaring or teachering or child psychology. You see, like I'm a home-based parent. I teach parenting only. But a lot of my clients have taken what I teach them about parenting, and they do take it to clients and students. Some of it works, some of it doesn't. One really good example of what does cross over and what doesn't, at home, I hate reward charts. I mean, I hate them. Do you know what message you're sending to your child if you have a behavioral reward chart? What you're saying to your child is, you're normally rotten, but if you should happen to be good, you'll get a gold star. See what the message that sends? A behavior chart sends the message, you're normally wonderful, but if you should happen to do something rotten, there's going to be a consequence, okay? So it's how you perceive them. But in a school, reward charts are great. They can work really well at school. If that's an institution, it's business. It's different. That's a very long answer, but I can't pick and choose what will work at daycare and what doesn't because I've never run a daycare center. I'm very careful. If I'm giving advice, I'm really confident about it. Like I know parenting. I just get it. I've worked with hundreds of kids. I've raised a couple. But yeah, I just get it. But daycaring, it's not my area. I don't know anything about it. Timeouts don't work. No, they don't because they're mean and they're humiliating. It's exactly like yelling. It can work in the moment. Yeah. It can. It'll backfire down the road because you're knocking them down. You're making them feel like crap, just like when you yell at them. And they will come back at you eventually. It'll come back. Okay. What would you do if your 5-year-old gives attitude when you're explaining something or talk to her? If you recommend using the behavior board, what would you put? You don't put attitude on the behavior board. Attitude is just a result of them not respecting you. When they respect you, the attitude disappears. Work on your leadership skills. Remember, we're never fixing kids. We're fixing and teaching parents here. So check out the link. I've got my free behavior board. You can start there. It's completely free. And then I've got my mini toddler. That doesn't apply to you. But also the big course, the boot camp course would apply to you. 3 to 12 years old teaches you how to be a leader. That's all. You lead, they will follow. That's just the way it is. Like I never tried to fix or change kids ever. If a kid ever acted out around me, this is my reaction when I was working with kids. This is because my kids never did act out around me. Why would they? Because I was a leader. But if kids didn't know me and they didn't realize I was a leader, I knew what I was doing. And if they acted out, I always did this. I always thought, what am I missing here? What am I doing wrong? So it was always on me. Leaders take full responsibility for who's under their care for their actions. By the way, as a parent, when you've got a 3 to a 12-year-old, that's why the course is for 3 to 12 years old. Their actions are 100% a direct result of your parenting. They just are. Their basic nature and their basic personality isn't. You want to work with that and encourage that. But their actions are 100% a direct result of your parenting. It might not be 100%. I just exaggerate to get my point across. But I would certainly take full responsibility. So we're never fixing kids. We're fixing and teaching parents here. You lead, they will follow. It's just, I've got respect from hundreds of kids I've worked with, teenagers in trouble, toddlers, older kids. Was it them or me? Was it them? They just happened to be respectful children, which I never worked with one respectful child ever. They always handed me the ones, good luck with this one. So I always managed to get respect because I know how to lead. So learn how to lead and everything falls into place. Attitude is just a sign that you're not a leader. That's all. Work on your leadership skills. Everything is about leadership. And leadership to me is about being fun. Got to be fun. And you're bringing out the best in them. They like themselves when they're with you. When children like themselves and like who they are, like how they act, like how they talk, when they're with you, they want to please you. That's your power. Teenagers just don't want to disappoint you. It goes down a notch, which is what you want, because you want them to become their own leaders eventually, right? You don't want obedient little soldiers. That's not what this is about at all. At all. It's funny, my son once said, he was a teenager, and he goes, when he grew up, he was probably in his early 20s, and he goes, why were we so afraid of you? You never even did anything. You never even told us what to do or anything. And I said, thank you. I was just a leader. I was fun. But they respected me. So that's what I teach. I want you to have fun with your kids. Discipline is a tiny, tiny, tiny part of this. Tiny, tiny. 99% of what I'm all about is about bonding with and connecting with your children. So they'll tell you everything right through the teen years. You want to be a safe place to land. You want to bring out the best in them. You want them to like themselves when they're with you. If all you're ever doing is correcting what you don't like about them, good luck with that. It's just going to tank. You got to connect with the good. You deal with bad behavior, but you connect with and build on and focus on the good kid. And then some parents will say to me, I never see the good kid. I work with delinquent teenagers. I needed a microscope to find the good kid, but I always found it, and that's what I focused on. Boy, I had to search for it sometimes, I'll tell you. I won't go into it. I talk about that a lot in coaching when I'm working with parents of teenagers. There's a lot of stories with how I did that. But, yeah. Okay. Hello, my 2.5-year-old daughter loves my 4-month-old boy a lot and loves to share me with his care. But okay, she's 2.5. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to hit see more. I don't know if my thumb is too fat. There we go. What should I do when she acts as a baby, like wanting to breastfeed, spit on herself, and want to be carried to the street? Just say, no, we don't do that. You're a big girl. Focus on the good. And when she does something big, that like big girl stuff, go all out with that. Wow, what a big girl. You're like a little mommy. You're more like me. So talk like she's more like you. You're like a mommy. Yeah. So I didn't mean to do the baby talk there. You said she rolls her eyes. Who's rolling their eyes at what? By the way, eye rolling is in the attitude department. You do not address that. You're weak if you address that. It's just pathetic. Like, don't you roll your eyes at me. They're going to go, yeah, right. There's no point in addressing attitude. If they have a bad attitude towards you, that's on you. You're not a leader. That's all that says to me. It just says they don't respect you. You can earn that. You got to work for that, though. You got to earn it. You got to command it. You don't demand it. You command it. So you got to work for that. The attitude just changes completely when you're a leader. What can you do instead of timeout? Just keep watching me. If they're under the age of 3, it's consistent corrective actions right in the moment every single time. You miss it 1 time out of 10, they'll remember that 1 time you didn't do it. So that's why you just pick 1 battle per week. Okay, you don't battle everything. I would battle everything in 1 day because I'm level 10 with what I teach. But when you're learning this leadership stuff, you just pick 1 battle that you want to win. And you just have to catch it every single time. If they're 3 and above, use my free behavior board. Oh, by the way, I have several mini toddler courses too, specific ones. But if they're 3 and above, use my behavior board. That's completely free. Or you can go to the course that's 3 to 12 years old, sets you up as a leader in 5 weeks. Or you can hire me for coaching. That's the top. I won't be coaching forever. I'm in my 60s now. But for now, I'm still coaching. But yeah, I'm just saying I don't know how much longer I'm going to do it. But yeah, I'll probably always do crisis work because that's how I built my business. That's life and death stuff. I'll probably always do that coaching. But you'll know way ahead of time before I do that. Probably be at least a year or 2. I don't know. I love your style. Yeah, I says it like it is. Sometimes I'll spurt out something and I'll go, God, I'm nasty. But I just have to say exactly what I'm thinking because I'm on here to make a difference. I'm not on here to be liked. I'm on here to make you enjoy parenting. I want you to have fun with your kids. I want you to be the fun parent who gets respect and they tell you everything right through the teen years, just like my kids did. I want you to enjoy parenting as much as I did. It was the most fun I ever had in my whole life. I miss it. I truly miss it. My kids are 34 and 29 now. Yeah. It's great. I mean, I got a grandchild due next week. So yeah, it'll be fun. But grandchildren, it's not the same because you have to hand them back. This will be me in the hospital with my little granddaughter. I'll be holding her. And my son will say, can I have my daughter back? And I'll be like, no. You have to hand it back. How good is that? It's not even yours. I mean, I'm sure I'll love being a grandmother, but to me, I love mothering so much. And I did have a friend years ago, and I asked her about this. She had like 12 grandchildren. And I said, is being a grandmother as much fun as being a mom? She was like me. She loved mothering as much as I did. We just had a blast laughing. It was just fun. Anyway, and she said, it's not as good because you have to hand them back. I always remembered that. That'll be me. And that is how I feel. I know I will. Okay. What are the clear consequences for a 2.5-year-old for hitting mainly? Okay, if they hit, you say no and you remove them from the fun for a few minutes. Or if they hit with a toy, you say no and you take that toy away. This is how you say no to a toddler. You go, no. And then you take something away. You get eye contact and you go, no. It's not yelling. I never yelled. You don't yell. It's just a very clear message. One word. It just starts the ball rolling that you're in charge. I saw that. And something's going to happen. So you can remove them from the fun, remove the fun from them. There's got to be a clear action. You have to figure that out. Whatever's going on in your household, you have to figure that out. I don't know what it is. I got too many ideas on that to just... Now, I'm new on Facebook here. I've only been on here for really a couple of months. So I'm not sure. And I'm new on these lives. I'm not sure when you answer... What does that mean? You're answering yourself. I don't know. It's just I'm reading the comments. Something's different's coming up. I don't know what that means. By the way, I also do lives. I'm filming on YouTube right now. All my lives are saved on YouTube. And I also do lives on TikTok and Instagram. I'm focused on Facebook right now because I'm new on here. I've kind of already got the TikTok and Instagram ones on, the ball's rolling with that. But anyway, so anyway. Okay. Is that your name? Cherie Cher. I knew a guy I didn't know him. I used to work with this woman and I never forgot her boyfriend's name. It was Sheldon Shepherd Shelby. I never forgot that. Sorry if you're out there and you heard that. I don't know. Sheldon Shepherd Shelby. Yeah. So it reminded me of that. You're a breath of fresh air. No one's ever said that about me before. Thank you. I'm a breath of fresh air. I should write that down and tell my kids. Someone said I'm a breath of fresh air. My son would go, really? He's the crazy one, the funny one. He's the one I'm most like. He's most like me. We're very sarcastic. And yeah, he would be most likely to go, what? Whereas my daughter would say, you are a breath of fresh air. She's the sweet, loving one. My son's like me. Okay, so thankful for your insight. My goal with this is to make you have as much fun parenting as I did, for you to sail right through the teen years like I did, and just have fun. I remember once, I heard this more than once, but I remember the first time I heard this, one of the moms at school said, every time I see you and your kids drive by in your blue RAV4, this is all I see. Because we were all laughing all the time. We just had a blast. You want to be fun. And they would never have been rude to me because I would have, if you're having fun with someone, like you look up to someone, you're having fun with them all the time, would you be rude to that person? No, they would be embarrassed to be rude to me. So that's what I want. I want you to be a leader. I want you to be a fun leader because everything just falls into place. I don't know how I'm doing on Facebook because when I first went on TikTok, I got trashed by my competition and that they'd turn up to all my lives and just trash me. So I knew I was making a difference. I knew I was shaking things up. I hope I'm shaking things up here. No one's trashing me on here. I'm not used to that. Usually I get trashed when I first come on a platform because I'm different, right? I'm a threat. So, but yeah, am I making a difference on Facebook yet? I don't know. No one's trashing me here yet. Maybe it's just a nicer platform because everyone has their real names on here. I think that's it too. Yeah, that's probably something to do with it. Okay. Like as soon as people came after me on TikTok, I was like this. I was like, oh, I'm onto something here. That's how that's exactly how I interpreted it. And then once they realized I was enjoying it, then they all ran away. That was great. Plus, what they were doing was they were sharing. This is just such a online bullying, just a tactic. Like it was hilarious because what they would do is then they'd go on my channel and do duet videos trashing me on their own channel. I got all their followers. I grew to like in 6 months. I grew 500,000 followers. It was all my competition grew my channel. I was me and someone else who knows what was going on were laughing, and they didn't pick up on that. I believe in karma, and I thought that was hilarious. And then I started telling this story, and then they stopped doing it. So whatever. Anyway, okay. What do I do then? I try to set rules, but it always backfires. Complains, I'm sorry, I'm not perfect. Oh, wait a minute. Ooh. She complains and says, I'm sorry, I'm not perfect, and a disappointment, so I back off and don't enforce it. Oh, how old? This is Joe. Boy, I want to answer that one. Who are you talking? I'm going backwards, trying to see if there was a previous comment. I want to answer that one, and I'll tell you why. I'm guessing she's 8. No. 9 or 10? Joe, how old is your daughter? What do I do then? Try to set rules, but it always backfires. She complains and says, I'm sorry, I'm not perfect, and a disappointment. She says that about herself, so I back off and don't enforce it. Could be one of two things. Joe, how old is she? I need to know. If not, I'll make up an age and I'll just give one answer. I'm not seeing it. No, I don't see it. If you put an age down, a bunch of people have come in and I've missed, it's just too much to go through. Sugar. Okay, I don't know. Let's say you got an 8-year-old and you're trying to, I might have this all wrong, but it's a good point anyway. Let's say you've got an 8-year-old and you've got a rule and a consequence on the behavior board. So she breaks the rule and you can say, let's go to the behavior board. Here's the consequence. She says, I'm sorry. I know I'm a disappointment. Now, either you're not meeting her needs and she truly feels like that, or she's just manipulating you, which is my guess, because she knows you're going to back off, because you already said you back off. So she knows how to manipulate you, is my guess. Okay. But if she truly does feel like crap, you might want to hire me. That's coaching in the link above. Anyway, I skipped through a whole bunch of questions trying to find the age, and that's okay now. I'm trying to go back because I missed a bunch of questions. While playing with my 3-year-old, he might be rough and hit. When I tell him hurts, he laughs. Don't tell him it hurts. He doesn't give a crap. He's only 3 years old. They haven't developed empathy yet. What you're trying to do is reason with him as if he's an adult. Yeah, you don't do that. You just say no hitting, and then you get up and walk away. So the fun stops. No hitting. Like if I was doing something with my kids and they did something I didn't like, I'd say, oh, well, game over, and I'd get up and walk away. And I wouldn't play it again till the next day. So they never actually did that. But if they had, that's what I would have done. Yeah. So saying you're hurting my feelings. You're trying to, it's the reasoning, the mini therapy sessions. It's just, I know it's trendy right now, but it's like trying to, oh God, it drives me freaking insane. It's this pleaser parent style that's so popular right now. And you're trying to help them find their inner adult. They don't have an inner adult. They're 3 years old. They don't have the inner adult. Yeah, it's just ludicrous. It drives me nuts because I have to fix all this damage. That's what I get in coaching, all that stuff that's been done. It's garbage. I'm not talking about you being garbage. I'm talking about the advice, reasoning, and mini therapy sessions, discussing all their big emotions, their big feelings. I never say you don't discuss feelings, but when you're disciplining and taking care of business, that is not the time. It's ridiculous. It's just so messed up. I could go on and on and on and on. I've actually been hired by people, child psychologists, just to discuss my philosophy. That's all they want to know. where, because they've been watching me, they realize I know what I'm talking about, and they want to understand the psychology behind it. And yeah. And I'm kid taught. I only do everything I do. I learned from kids telling me. I, I was watching kids and how they reacted to me. That's how I learned all this. I didn't read a book or anything. I was out in the field working with hundreds of kids and teenagers. They taught me all this. So I do what they need, not what adults think they need. There's a difference there. Okay. Oh, I love this. It's very different than a lot of what's out there right now. Yep, it is. But I love the simple, direct approach that you are. Sorry, the see more button there isn't working. That you're taking. Yeah, I've just been doing this for 52 years. I started volunteering in daycare centers when I was 11 years old, and even back then, the daycare workers used to ask me, "How do you do that? You're so much. The kids love being with you, but they respect you. They were always trying to please me. They couldn't. I didn't know how to answer that. I was a leader." So I instinctively already knew how to do all this. It was just, I was figuring kids out. I was always watching how they reacted to me. That's what I did. I watched, and I also watched them when they didn't know I was watching. So I was always trying to figure them out. I wasn't trying to outsmart them. I was trying to figure them out. I was watching how they reacted to everything I did. And then when I was mentoring troubled teens, I had a little bit of training, and I never used any of it. I'm not saying that it wasn't good. I just knew it would never work for me. So yeah, I thought, no, the teenagers will show me what they need. And that's what they did. So yeah, I let kids show me what they need. I never let anyone else tell me what they needed. Why would I do that? Uh, bu- 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 Okay, good question. I get this in coaching quite often. If we don't allow screens at all during the week, what do we do as a consequence instead of a media blackout? Okay, let's see more button. I'm going to try and make it work. Okay. I tried your siblings pick their favorite toy. My son will hit and go. Okay. Okay. You haven't done the big boot camp course. That sort of tells you how to do that. Media blackout is just the example that I use. So what they're talking about here, what's your name? Oh, Adalita. Sorry, I probably got that wrong. Adalita. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. Do you know, years and years ago, I worked with someone, and it was spelled Jesus, and I called him Jesus. He said, actually, it's Jesus, but thanks for that. I didn't know what I was saying. How embarrassing. I was so embarrassed. I never forgot that. That was probably, geez, almost 20 years ago now. How embarrassing. Anyway, there are, when you're doing the behavior board, there's a rule and a consequence for everybody. But the kids have two consequences. You start with a positive action. If they won't do that, like empty the dishwasher. If they won't do that, you always have a time limit. Empty the dishwasher within 10 minutes of being asked to do so, something like that. If they won't, and you don't say another word, 10 minutes is up, you say, okay, you didn't empty the dishwasher. So then you do the negative deprivation one. And that's usually, I always use the example 24-hour media blackout. Basically, you just take something that they love, you take it away, but you never take away anything comforting or loving. Like you don't, like someone said, we didn't read them books in bed that night, and you never take away love, but take away a favorite toy or something for 24 hours. There's about once or twice a year, because parents will say, we've got nothing to take away. They care about nothing. Literally, all they love doing is going out and playing sports. And you never take away socializing or sports or anything like healthy like that. So they say, they literally have nothing at home that they really care about that I could take away. So we have to invent leverage. It is ugly. I hate doing it. But sometimes we have to resort to that. I don't even talk about it here. It only comes up in coaching. And it is very rare that I even do it. It's so mean. I hate doing it. But I think I did it twice in 2023 with clients. But sometimes it's all you've got. And we got to be very careful with how we do it. But there's certain things, coaching is completely different. Other stuff comes up in there. But yeah, you get all my general advice. My kids are 6, almost 4 and 2. Excellent. Okay, that's Adelita, the one that I got wrong. Yeah, check out the behavior board. You can try that on your own, but keep it simple. The 2-year-old can't be on there. It starts at the age of 3. The 2-year-old is consistent corrective actions right in the moment. That's how you deal with toddlers. They can't go on the behavior board, but they're watching everything you do with the older kids. So yeah, the younger ones tend to follow. How to handle a defiant almost 3-year-old who refuses to listen. That's on you. They don't listen because you're not a leader. They don't respect you. So you set up your leadership skills and then they will listen. They just do. I lead with fun. I used to call it my weapon with kids. It was my weapon of choice. I was fun and or funny. With teenagers, I wasn't fun so much, but it was funny. So I use humor. You got to be fun. You got to lead with fun. And you deal with bad behavior, but then you focus on the good kid. And sometimes I needed a microscope to find it, I'll tell you, but I always found something I could focus on. I won't go into it, but there's methods of doing that. But yeah. You're back to basics. Yeah, it's all simple stuff, just common sense, isn't it? Because kids taught me this. They don't teach anything fancy. They just taught me what they needed. Okay. You explain so well everything, and everything is super simple listening to you. Oh, excellent. All these gentle, no, I don't critique that. So I can't comment on that. I think that would be tacky of me. I've been asked to go on panels, pretty big show. I won't mention what it is, big show. And they wanted different parenting experts to argue. I wouldn't do that in a million years. Why would I do that? I just think that would be tacky. Anyway, and I never would watch it either. I don't care what anyone else is teaching because I'm kid taught. Kids taught me all this, so I stay out of that mess. They can fight it out if they want, but anyway, it's funny. But yeah, they were shocked. I said no. No one ever says no to that show. I said no to it. I've said no to it more than once. Another one is I was asked to do twice now. This has come up. I've been asked to do a big TV show. Going into families and I specialize in teenagers, and I've been asked to go on and help families deal with their teenagers. And I said, well, I might consider it, but I need 100% creative control on what goes on to air. Well, they kicked me to the curb so fast you wouldn't believe it, because I can't embarrass a family on air. I just couldn't do it, especially a teenager. They could do themselves in. They get humiliated nationally, and then who knows what they're going to do to themselves. So yeah. I never saw anyone do that. Very few people specialize in teenagers, and I've never seen that show or heard of it come out. So I guess if anyone specializes in teenagers, they wouldn't be stupid enough to humiliate them on air. They just wouldn't. So if they get anyone doing it, they can't have their heart in it. Because what do you suggest with 4.5-year-old preschooler? That when you're giving direction to act as though you're not talking to, okay, same thing, same answer I have to give so many times, and people get frustrated, I'm sure. They just don't respect you. That has nothing to do with them. They're treating you according to how you should be treated, with no respect, because you're not commanding respect. You got to set yourself up as a leader, and that would not happen. It just wouldn't happen. Plus, I never repeat myself ever with kids, ever. If you repeat yourself with a child, they're in charge, and they know it. So I say something once. If they don't follow through, I take action. But I'm very fair and reasonable about what I ask and when I ask it too. So yeah, work on yourself. If kids are rude towards you, that's your responsibility. You're responsible for their behavior, not them. You are. Between the ages of 3, not with toddlers, because they haven't formed yet, but between the ages of 3 and 12, you're at the height of your leadership. That's the height of your leadership. That's why my course, the boot camp course, is 3 to 12 years old, because that's when 100% of their actions are a direct result of your parenting, including how they treat you, because they look up to you. You make them feel good about themselves. They have high self-esteem. They have a voice. You're accountable too. Boy, my kids loved it when I messed up. They'd look at each other like this. And I'd go, what do you want? Because if I was being unfair, or, come on, let's go, I was being unreasonable or something, they would love that, because they knew I'd make it up to them. I'd say, what do you want? And they'd say, we'd love to go to the water slide park tomorrow after school. And I'd say, fine, I'll bring your suits with us. So stuff like that. So you got to be accountable. That's part of leadership. You've got to be accountable, because they're not listening to you, they're watching you. If you're accountable and you're respectful and you never yell, you probably yell right now, by the way, but you'll learn how not to yell if you work with me. But anyway, if you yell and all that, you're not respecting them, so they're not going to respect you. Why would they? Why should they? If you're yelling at them, why on earth would they respect you? They might be afraid of you. That's not respect. We took on 3 more kiddos. Good for you, nephews and nieces. So you've got custody? It's a custody situation. And the 14-year-old thinks she is 30 and whoa. Yeah, teenagers, that's my specialty. Um, I don't know what to say to that, but yeah, that's right. What would you suggest with a 5-year-old that has ADHD and is defiant? Okay, well, that's all I worked on. I never worked with kids who didn't have, or they were all alphabet kids. ADHD, WXYZ. I used to call them alphabet kids. And that's who I learned all this on. So that's why my kids were so easy. They didn't have any of those challenges because I thought, wow, parenting's easy. Like I had no idea. I'd worked with so many difficult kids throughout the years. And then when I finally had my own, it was like, wow, this is ridiculously easy. Like I couldn't get over it because I had a history of working with difficult kids. So this is where I learned all this. I learned how to get respect with all those kids, the alphabet kids. Yeah, the whining when my husband comes home. I've been following you and I completely agree with kind of just ignoring. So I'm going to hit see more. Kind of just ignoring. Oh, it's a long one. My daughter is 3, my son's 19 months. He's picking up on it and is whining now too. How do I get my husband to understand that he shouldn't coddle them when they are throwing tantrums or whining? Well, I can't tell you how to manage your husband. You can send him to my channel, but here's what I tell my clients to do. I say, okay, I've been watching this woman here and let's just go with her for 3 weeks. Give it a go. If it doesn't work, she's an idiot and we'll just move on to someone else, okay? Flip a coin and see, are we going to do it your way or my way? So flip a coin and then that'll hopefully get them on board, hopefully, and say, okay, we're going to try my way for 3 weeks. If that doesn't work, we'll try your way. Or flip the coin. If it goes we'll try your way for 3 weeks and then we'll do it my way. So yeah, that's usually what I get parents to do. Because usually when people hire me, if there's 2 parents, there's often just one parent turning up. But if there's 2 parents turning up, there's often one, like, not always, usually they're both sitting there like that because they paid me good money, right? So why on earth would they not be excited about it? So they're usually like this, but every so often I'll get this. One will be sitting forward like this and the other one's like this. So I have to try and get them on board. By the way, the bigger the challenge, the more excited I get. As soon as I see that, I always laugh. They often have said, why are you laughing? And I said, I'm laughing at the one sitting back like that. I know who's going to be my challenge. I love all that. I love what I do. Very lucky. What kind of workouts do you do? How often? Favorite health tip? Oh, you might have seen my personal channel on TikTok. Is that what you're referring to? Yeah, I work out every single day. I'm a nutcase with health and fitness. And in other words, I'm no fun whatsoever. I'm up at 5, I'm at the gym. Yeah, I work out every single day. I'm 63 and my goal is to outdo every other girl at the gym. And they're all young girls there. So that's always my goal. And do I do it in my own mind? Yeah. Realistically, probably not. But yeah, I'm not here to talk about myself. But yeah, you've probably seen my personal TikTok. But yeah, health and fitness are really important. My daughter also goes to the gym every single morning, and we're both really into health food. Yeah, my son works out a lot too, but he's not as into health food. But he got the idea, you know. Okay. How to handle, very good word here, and I'll explain why. Just let me hit the C more before I start reading it. Okay. Oh, that's a long one. Okay. How to handle a 7-year-old that has difficulty transitioning, that's the word, away from something fun. A silly moment with mom playing a game, always wanting more. I'm hesitant to do something spontaneous. Pick her up and twirl her, but can only do once before continuing the dishes because she keeps wanting more. So I just say it's all done. Okay. That's learned behavior. You've trained her to do that. So what I would say was, we're going to play hide and seek for 1 whole minute or 2 minutes or 10 minutes. Put the timer on and say, when it ends, it ends. And now she's 7, right? Yeah, she's 7. I would say, I'll tell you what, if you're not a good sport, if you keep bothering me after that 10 minutes is up, tomorrow night we'll only do it for 5 minutes. So there's a consequence for keep going. She'll eventually learn. She's only 7, but she's old enough to understand that. I wouldn't do that with a 3-year-old. They're too little to understand that. Tomorrow night we'll do, you know. But yeah, so that's what I would do. Does that make sense? Does that help? It's Megan Birch. Megan Birch. Why is that name so familiar? Don't know. Okay. After listening, it sounds like it's not a behavior chart like I've heard some schools or daycares do with lowering your stars, showing, no, I don't do any of that. I'm not a school, I'm not a business, I'm not an institution. I'm a parenting expert. That's what I teach. I teach parenting. It's very, very different. A huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, child psychologists. Those are businesses, they're institutions. I couldn't do their job, and they struggle with parenting just like everybody else does. They have a little bit of a step up, but you'd be amazed. They still struggle because it's an emotional relationship. It's very, very different. So a lot of stuff doesn't transfer over from one to the other. And no, I don't work with people to teach them how to deal with students and clients. But I know people have hired me and they don't even have kids and they pretend like they're their kids. They've owned up to it afterwards. Nothing I can do about that. So, and I want to make it clear, it's not that teachers, principals, and child psychologists are struggling more than anybody else. I think a part of it is that they're learners and they want to get it right. So they are learners. It's just a different mindset too. So I actually think they probably, in reality, are probably struggling a little bit less because they do have a little bit of a step up because they have experience with kids in their institution or business, right? But yeah, they're learners. They want to get it right. So they want to, that's why. And they identify that it's different, that because I'm a parenting expert, that it is different. It's a completely different relationship than being a teacher. Like I could never be a teacher. If I had to get up in front of 30 kids and teach them something, I think I'd soil myself. I just couldn't do it. I'm not shy at all, but that's not my expertise. I would, ugh. Like I can get up in front of 1,000 people and talk, but it's all about parenting, not about teaching. You see what I mean? That's, yeah. Okay. What would happen if they continue doing what is on the board? Would you, yeah, this happens. This comes up a lot. Would you do like 24-hour blackout? You can only take that away for a day. Yeah, okay, here's what happens. I get this every day on lives. Anyway, so let's say your rule is no hitting and they hit. So you've got a consequence and then they hit again. So you say, okay, you didn't do the consequence the first time. So now you're going to get the media blackout. In that 24 hours of media blackout, they continue to hit. I would say at the very most, the odd time I might say, that's why you've got 24-hour media blackout. So I would point it out, but they're going to keep hitting because they think they got a free pass to do so. They'll eventually, it will peter out, okay? But for that 24 hours, yeah, there's not much you can do. You're already doing the 24-hour media. You don't keep piling on 24-hour media blackouts. And then when that one's over, you don't say, okay, because you were hitting for the last 24 hours, we're going to do it again. You don't do that. You start from scratch. Now they've got screens. They'll eventually learn, maybe I shouldn't hit and that won't happen again, you see? Plus, another way to do it is, let's say, that's one method. Another way is, let's say you got an 8-year-old and their rule again is no hitting. So or swearing, no swearing. So they swear and you say, okay, so tonight you're going to empty the dishwasher. That's your consequence on the behavior board. So then they keep swearing throughout the day. So after dinner, you say, your consequence was going to be emptying out the dishwasher, but because you swore, I counted 12 times. Could have been more, but I counted 12 times that you swore. We're going to go straight to media blackout. Do you understand? And make that happen. Follow through with that. Are they going to kick up a storm? Yeah. Is there a lesson behind a storm? Yeah. You got to be willing to take the hard line sometimes and say, it's going to happen. And then go through the hell. That's your challenge. I remember I love this story. It was such a short story, but anyway, this kid once said to me, he was about 8. I don't remember who it was, but anyway, he said to me, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to have a fit. Obviously that worked at home. He hadn't met me yet. He didn't know. And I said to him, bring it on. And he never did. You got to be willing. If you're afraid of fit scenes and tantrums, they have you by the knackers. They are totally in charge and they know it. When I said, bring it on, as calm as anything, he went like this. And he never did. He thought, whoa, I haven't met anyone like her before. Everyone else is afraid of me. She's not afraid of me. No way. It's not good for them to be afraid. They don't want that. They want the leader. Then they're all over you because they like that. They are drawn to a leader. It makes them feel safe and it makes them feel good about themselves. Do you think he felt good about himself when he said that to me? He felt like crap. He may have had a smirk on his face, but that wasn't a smile. That was a fit of it. It was that. That's not happiness. That's misery. I just saw a miserable kid who has no leader, and I come along and I'm a leader. That's what he needed. Whenever I was working with kids, the more difficult they were, the quicker they were for me to turn around. because it's almost like this. They almost go like this. Oh, a leader. Oh, finally. That's what I've been waiting for, because they need, crave, and want a leader. If they don't have one, they're out of control. So how do I work on my leadership skills? Keep watching me. You can hire me, or you can get that course if they're 3 to 12 years old. I got a whole course on this. 5 weeks, how to be a leader. You start small. It's a slow progression. It's not like you dive in for 5 weeks of hell. It's like you pick one rule per week to focus on. It's a slow progression. I have paced that out. That took me years to figure out that course. How do I pace that out? I've been coaching for 17 years, but that course is only about 8 months old, maybe, not even that probably. It took me that long to really just be brave enough to pace it out the way I thought it should be paced. You know why I didn't put it out for years? Because I know coaching is that next level up. I thought a course couldn't be good as coaching, but if your problems aren't huge, that course is just as good as coaching. Depends on how big your problems are. So anyway, check out the course. That might be for you. That teaches you how to be a leader. It's all about you. Parents, whenever they hire me, say, oh, I get it. It's not about the kids at all. And I go, no, I teach leadership. I don't teach kidding or teenagering or toddlering. I teach leadership. I teach parents how to be leaders. And your kids are drawn to you. They love that. It wasn't that long ago, a mom said she was so shocked at this. Her little boy was a real handful. And one day, she'd worked with me for about 2 or 3 weeks, and her little boy came up to her, and he gave her a big hug, and he goes, I really like the new mummy. Like, they love this because they understand leadership is love. It's not the old-fashioned authority, you do my way or the highway. You don't want obedient little soldiers. Leadership is love, and kids pick up on this. Okay, oof, big question. It's a good one, though. How do I motivate my teen to stop being so lazy? Sorry about that. I didn't mean to laugh. It's in their nature to be lazy, and I'll tell you why in a minute. To want to experience life and get out of the damn room and off her phone without taking it. Anyway, years ago, when my son, he's 34 now, he was probably 15, 16. And I said, sweetie, you haven't done your chores yet. I asked you to do something. And he said to me, he looked at me, and he was a good kid, right? So he looked at me and he says, Mom, he said, I'm not even, because I know hormones. I really respect hormones, what they do to the body. That's why they can just turn into these lazy nothings, because they're hormones and everything, emotions, and it's just exhausting being a teenager sometimes. Anyway, here's the funny part. So he says, Mom, he says, I'm not even kidding you. I am so tired, because he had a part-time job too. So he had been working a lot. He said, I'm so tired. He says, literally, it hurts to lift my hands. That's why my game controller is resting in my lap while I play. So he still managed to play. Anyway, here's the funny part. He said, and I actually felt sorry for him. I thought, oh, okay, sweetie. I said, I understand. I'll do your chores today. You know, no big deal. Because I'm a loving mother, right? So I'm doing it. Because I believe you get back what you give too, right? Because he was very good to me too. Anyway, so he gets a call from a friend. And all I hear, he's downstairs in the rec room where he was gaming. And all I hear is, oh, Mom, Johnny or whatever his friend's name. John just called him. I'm going over to John's, and he raced out, ran up the street, all of a sudden. So they seem to have energy for what excites them, but not for what doesn't. Now, I raised my kids to do what you need to do before you do what you want to do. But in those teen years, that can really take a hike for a while. So yeah, you've got to be patient with teenagers. My top 3 tips for parenting teenagers, these are them. And by the way, you can't try and reason with a teenager all the time. I know you'd like to, but don't get me started on that. Anyway, number 1, top 3 tips for parenting teenagers. Number 1, listen to understand and show empathy. Don't listen to gather information to lecture with. They will shut you out. When you get good at this, what I call silent listening, they'll tell you everything. Anyway, number 2 is you negotiate pretty much everything. So you say something like this. Look, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? You don't do that with everything, but it's a blanket statement. But with a lot of stuff you do. Number 3 is don't sweat the small stuff. Save your energy for the big stuff if you ever even have it, okay? Because you're going to need it. So don't micromanage them. Allow them to make small mistakes, just like you did. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, you say, well, that was stupid. Wait to hear what I did when I was your age. So be relatable, show compassion, like I did with my son. He hadn't done his chores, but I showed compassion, and then he took off like a bullet when his friend called. So yeah, we talked about that one later. I was laughing, but it was very funny. But yeah, he literally, Mom, I can't even hold my controller up, but he can run up the street evidently. And this was me watching them. Live and learn. Okay. Okay. I was going to read what you said, but my teaching style is realistic versus I don't discuss that method or any other methods because I just think that's kind of tacky for me to comment on any of that. Plus, I don't know them. I stay in my lane. I have never looked at what anyone else is teaching or doing. The only reason I even have a clue of what's out there is that my clients tell me what they've been doing, and they'll fill me in. But I don't really. It doesn't mean anything to me because I only teach what I know. I teach through experience. And I think I'm the only way to parent? No, that would be ignorant. I think there's lots of different ways to parent, but I know mine works and might not work for everybody, but I know it's a good way. It's a good path to pick. Well, I believe in it anyway. So, but I'm not going to be for everybody, and I'm okay with that. I'm just fine with that. Anyway, I have to get going. Thanks so much for joining me. If you check the link, you can get my free behavior board, one of my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course from 3 to 12 years old to learn how to be a leader in 5 weeks, or you can hire me for coaching. And anyway, that's all in the link above. And thanks so much for joining me. I'll be back again another day. Bye now.